Hey guys, and welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect. Today we're jumping back into some more FTB Skies, and boy oh boy, today we're getting started with some refined storage autocrafting and diving headfirst into mechanism. Hopefully you guys are ready. So right off the bat, I actually wanted to go over a simple fix that I did mention in a prior episode. I was like, hey, for some reason this is not placing blocks. So if I gave this a block placer with the information defined on the inside, which is very handy, by the way, like the fact that you can choose what side, you can even filter what blocks is being placed or what blocks get broken by this. It is a super useful mod. But I wanted it to place on the front, and when I put this in and I put the blocks in, it didn't place, and I was wondering why. There's a couple of ways you can actually fix this. I totally forgot about having my area protected and the fake players and all that stuff. But if you go down to the bottom right, there's a server setting, and this is in relation to your FTB chunks. And then right here, you can see allow fake players is set to check. But if we set to allow, you can see it now places. But you may not want to do this on a server, right? I don't think you would want people to be able to grief you in some way with a fake player. So I'm actually going to leave it into check mode, and I'm going to show you another way you can do this. So within modular routers, you can actually make the modular router be you. It's pretty cool, and it's called a security upgrade. It looks like this little key here, and so if we make this and then we right click it in our inventory, or just having it on us, it sets us as the owner and operator of this. And so we put that in here, and now it will still place because it is the security owner and is literally acting as you, which is one way to get around it, so you don't open your base up to turtles and mining turtles, which could just destroy your base, which would not be very fun. So with all that cleared up, let's get into refined storage autocrafting. This is one of the things that I wanted to get done in this pack and definitely get done today. Now, inside we have ourselves a pattern grid. This is how you're actually going to access the autocrafting. And then you're going to make patterns in here, either processing patterns or regular patterns. And it can also handle fluids, by the way. And this is all going to just generate a pattern. For example, I have a pattern right here. Let me go ahead and clear it. In this pattern, I can go ahead and say, be exact on the recipe and always choose specifically oak logs and make oak planks. And that generated a crafting recipe. That's pretty simple. But to craft it, you're going to need a crafter. Now in this pack, I did not see, and I don't know if this is going to be added in the future, but I did not see any add-ons that give us extended refined storage crafters. So at the moment, it is a little bit limited as far as how much space you actually get for crafting ingredients. There is a mod that is called like iron, like that upgrades these to like iron and gold and so on and so forth. They give you more slots because by default, you only get 9 slots per crafter, which is fine. You can just hook these all together and then you get a bunch of different slots. And believe me, you don't really spend a lot of time putting tons of recipes in here autocrafting anyways. But this autocrafter can do multiple things, right? It can just craft. So we can go in here and say oak and just request, which right now it's not hooked into anything. But if I put it up against this interface, it should connect. There you go. And now we can go, all right, I need oak planks. So when we don't have any in there, I can go ahead and request 64 and it's going to start crafting them. To speed up the craft, we can put upgrades in here. But what I really want to do is I want to use it to automate other things. Like, of course, I still want things to be crafted, but I want to automate the base production of the materials that is going to be required to make more of these, right? So I need to do process crafts. And so, for example, I need to get this inscriber up and automated. And to do that, we put a crafter on top of it. And then on the bottom, we hook up an importer that just automatically pulls out. And anytime we need to craft something specific, we can just request it and it will automatically start the craft. And that's what we're going to go ahead and set up now. So now that things are hooked in, it's going to get a little bit spicy from this point. I now have a crafter that is on top of my advanced inscriber. And so that is going to put items in that we define. I have one above my redstone furnace that we're using for everything else, but it will also work here. Now to import, this just goes right into the interface, so I don't have to worry about that. And now this uses an importer, which is going to import into the system. And then we have a regular crafter that is just going to be used for regular crafts. And we should be able to make everything right here. Now, of course, one of the first things to definitely set up autocrafting for is patterns. So we can set a regular craft to craft this up. So that's going to have to go in our grid that does the crafts. And then we also need glass. So glass is going to be a thing that needs auto-crafted. So that will be a process. So let's find glass. And this is going to be a great one to have anyways. Let's make sure to clear that. Glass. And we will say smelt. So we need to find where it shows sand. So any kind of sand, but we specifically want normal sand to glass. And so this will be a process that we put into this. So if it's connected to a machine, it's going to be a process. Now, you do have to make sure that it can input into the top of this machine. This one should automatically input, so we don't have to worry about that. That's also going to be a process we're going to talk about here in a second. But we're almost done with the pattern, right? All we got to do is make the final pattern. And boop, there it goes. And it's exact. Make sure you do exact, especially with glass. All right, and this is a regular craft. So that's patterns crafted. That's pretty simple. We can put both of those in here. And it's funny seeing a pattern crafted because when you hold shift, it only shows a pattern. But that's really the basics of making these recipes. I've got to go through here and I got to make sure that all of these little pieces of everything gets crafted. And I start usually and I define. Now with this recipe, you kind of want to just get rid of the thing here. We don't want an inscriber. We just want the silicon to go in. And so actually let's make some patterns because I have to request some right here. So let's go ahead and make a few of them and that'll get all crafted up as you can see. But yeah, so we need to define this. This is how we're going to set this up. Sometimes you have to check the recipes. We don't want it trying to input an inscriber press because we're using an advanced inscriber. One of the best ways to automate this, and that's just going to go right up here. And there you go. So now we have this automated, but we could technically automate all of the basic parts using the refined storage. Now, another cool part is at the moment, if I did want to craft this up and you can see it's blue, that means we have a crafting recipe for it and we have the ability to craft it. And if I don't have it in my inventory, you can actually hit Control. And when you click this button, it'll pull up in a normal crafting menu. If you hit Control and click it, it's going to automatically pull up the autocraft for it. And with that, you can hit Start and go ahead and start, and it'll autocraft anything for that specific thing you're trying to craft. It'll go ahead and start crafting it. It's just a really handy thing, so you're not jumping back and forth between menus over and over and over again, which usually ends up happening. So I have my smelting processes going in, and then we are going to need another crafter to be able to make the rest of our stuff. And then cables are a little bit fancy as they require those flux crystals. And I'm going to actually set up an auto trader to be able to trade for those things. And I want to set it up to auto trade flux crystals. Now, just like I said earlier, we can go ahead and set this craft up. It's pretty simple, and I can go ahead and get most of this auto crafted by holding Control. And there we go. It's going to start the process of crafting anything that we didn't already have that had a crafting recipe for it. And even this, I can go ahead and request. There we go. It should craft up pretty fast. Like it's definitely not slow. So that's done. This, apparently we used what we crafted, and there's a crafter. Perfect. So we have everything. I mean, everything's pretty much ready to go. We can put in our auto crafts, and now there's only a few other things left to set up, and that's of course like casings. Like I probably need craft for a casing. And that's it. We have all of our utility. I have importers and exporters set up. And then I just have to have like auto crafters on tap. Now, unfortunately, right now, there's a weird bug with the auto traders, but they're invisible for some reason. I don't know if it's specifically the shader pack or what it is, but even this is kind of invisible, but they're invisible in your inventory. So the auto trader, we're going to have to set this up with cable most likely. And I should be able to pull our villager out of here. Oh yeah, it's invisible in our inventory. Let's pull this out and then pull the station out. And then I can get rid of this. And what I want to do is I want to set this guy up inside of that auto trader. But I'm going to have to run some cables And I might just set it up over here since we already have connections. So this should be pretty straightforward. We'll shrink ourselves down and I'll use my importer on the bottom here. And then let's go ahead and place the items in here. And now we need to go through and select what we're actually going to be auto trading. And it's going to be this right here. And then we just need to give it emeralds. And it'll do the same thing as if we were normally trading, except I should be able to, yeah, we should be able to control this, no problem. Let's get some emeralds. That's what it's going to trade. And that's going to start sending enough emeralds to buy it, but at some point it will not do the trade. It still has the same sort of cooldown. It's just going to keep running until this guy doesn't want to trade anymore. And then when that timer refreshes, it'll go again and again and again and so on and so forth. I'm not sure though if this just starts to become overwhelmingly expensive. It is best practice to honestly make this super cheap. As you can see, it just stopped doing the trade. It's probably best to get this down all the way using a converter. Now to set up auto-crafting on the Industrial Foregoing machines, it's really simple. Let's hook up our external storages onto our current tanks. Later on, after we get this set up, we can actually make some crazy tanks, which I plan on doing. But this external storage, we'll make sure to set it up, make sure to hit that higher priority. So if we have to, I don't know, put more in here or whatever, it's going to go back into this. Now over here, this machine, we do need a tank real quick. Actually, I can probably just break the machine to clear it out, because right now it has a little bit of pink slime that I don't want in there. Yeah, now it's cleared out. We're going to need to hook up our pink slime. And so if I go down here, this container right here, I'm also going to hook an external storage up. These are the two fluids that we're going to be using for now. And I think, yep, there's a refined storage cable literally right here. You gotta love that. So let's also set that to a priority of 1. And make sure you hit the set button, otherwise it will not set. I'm so used to hitting the escape button just instantly. That's the first thing I think to do. We should be able to see the fluids inside of our fluid grid. But what we're going to use this for is for the auto crafting. Now, on the bottom of here, I'm going to grab a crafter real quick. I can just auto craft that super fast. I mean, this was long overdue. I should have done the auto crafting a long time ago. But yeah, I've been kind of putting it off till we got to this point and got a little bit more resources. On the bottom here, we have to use an importer. And this is why I like the importer and such. This is why I want this all on autocraft, because you use it so much. You use so much of this. And this will be pretty simple to set up. Now, if you just place this down and you want to rotate this, the best thing to do is use the wrench from the mod itself, and that'll get it to rotate. You want it facing down into that. And then on the importer side of things, of course, we can place that, and that will import. And then we do need to define this, and we'll say, we don't have to lock this, by the way, but we can define this as, okay, push the output into the importer. And then as far as the input goes, make sure to pull from the top. So that should be it. Now, let's talk about setting up the autocrafts that involve fluids. Now, I do want to have fluids turned on for this, but I don't know if it would automatically do it if this was turned off. I think it would automatically turn itself on. Actually, let's go ahead and test. So, Industrial Foregoing has the few things that we need to craft, right? These right here. This is probably one of the first things that we need to set up a craft for. Notice it does automatically apply the latex. So I'm assuming that without fluids selected, it's still going to work and it's still going to give us that exact amount. So let's go ahead and test this by putting that craft in there. And then let's see, if I go to actually craft a simple machine, which is right here, it's telling me I'm missing a gear and I'm missing these. So we definitely want to make sure that we have crafting recipes for all of these components. It says we're missing latex. So we shouldn't be missing latex as it is hooked into our system, correct? Let's grab our grid and just double check. We should have latex inside of our grid. If I go to the fluid grid, it is not showing up. Is this cable hooked in properly? Oh, I know what I did wrong. This has to be put into fluid mode. Oh, such a simple mistake. And honestly, it's super missable. Like, it's so easy to do. I wish it just automatically worked as either or. But yeah, you do have to put it into fluid mode in order for it to work. Even though the crafter handles both fluids and items. Okay, so now when we craft a simple frame, we hit start, and it should have put all the items in and the exact amount of fluid that we need. And as you can see, it's doing the craft. It's just taking some time. There's a lot of recipes for industrial foregoing that we want to get set up using this method. That is all the upgrades, right? So we want speed tier 2 upgrades in here. It's going to cost latex. We want to make sure we have everything auto crafted and ready to go. Now, one of the auto crafts that are definitely going to be handy to you is this pink slime ingot, right? That's going to be something that you want to get set up because it is in the overpowered tab. Will be something that we'll definitely need. You can see it's right here, 128 pink slime ingots. And yeah, that should be just about it. Actually, we will be soon setting this whole section up. You can see simple machines are also a part of this. Echo shards are easy to get. Invar is easy to get. And now that we have auto crafting, once we get into mechanism, auto crafting will be a game changer. Starting mechanism without auto crafting is kind of a pain and kind of a headache. But with refined storage on your side, oh my gosh, auto crafting is so simple. It makes mechanism just so much simpler. Now I'm going to try my best, but I need to get all of these different upgrades crafted up as soon as possible. So we do have some speed upgrades by default. You can only put one of these in at a time, but we do have the other ones as well that we can get auto crafted up. You can see the speed definitely helps, but having all three inside is very effective. And the faster that we can craft inside this machine, the better. So what we just crafted a processing upgrade, and then we need an efficiency upgrade. There we go. And this opens up all kinds of stuff. Like we get our mining laser, we also get access to the fluid laser, and all of this, and in plus the ability to craft tons of generators that all lead up to a generator that can make 25 million RF per tick once automated. Which I do plan on doing for sure. That'll be probably one of the best ways to generate mass power outside of mechanism for sure. And there we go. So there's all of our upgrades. We can put these in our all of our machines that are related to industrial foregoing. Oh boy, this thing almost used up all of my emeralds. Yeah, okay, maybe I should take you out for a little while and maybe swap you with someone else. So let's fix our emerald supply. Right here, I have an auto trader set back up, but we're going to be doing the opposite. We're going to be trading coal for emeralds to get our emerald supply back in order because, my goodness, it was kind of broken. So this guy should start to trade as soon as I turn this back on. And there we go. And we should start getting emeralds in return as soon as he's ready to start trading again. Because I ended up with like so many. If we do applied, like 645 crystals. I don't think we're going to use that many for a while. Now let's talk about mechanism. Yes, the big mod that is in the room that's been the elephant the entire time. I know. It is a mod that a lot of you guys probably got started with right off the bat. But for me, I wanted to wait a little bit on it so I could enjoy some of the other mods because mechanism does consume a huge amount of the content that revolves around all these other mods. So this can generate a ton of power. It can process things really fast. There's a lot of stuff and utility in this mod. And we're going to be getting into it. But really, we're getting into it because of a couple of things. One, the atomic disassembler is a beautiful tool. But aside from that, we have to have it for the overpowered stuff. And we're going to have to dive pretty deep into it. Like we need atomic alloy right off the bat, 256 of them, which is quite a lot, which means automation for sure. And well, getting into that also means fission reactors and stuff like that, which we'll work on in the future. But I just want to get started with the basics, like honestly, just the basics. And this is also going to allow us to get into Flux Network. So first things first, we need two things. We need infused alloy and we need basic control circuits, all of which are made inside the metallurgic infuser. This thing is going to require some power. So I'm going to do 3 of them for right now. 2 is probably a good number as well. If you want to start with that. I definitely like to get them nice and separated so we can have at least two machines running. one that is producing infused alloy, one is producing basic control circuits, and then of course one for doing any other craft that we may need. For right now, I'm actually going to set these machines up right here. So one here and one here, that should work out just fine, giving me some room to work with, and we can actually use just regular hoppers to sort of automate this. Now keep in mind, these machines do not auto pull things in. However, they will send items automatically from machine to machine. But they will not automatically send out to a chest or pull in from a chest. You have to use pipes or hoppers or some other means. Thankfully, Mechanism honestly has some of the best pipes in the business, so I think that'll be the way to go. I'm going to power these just by hooking into the node system here, and we'll make sure to chain these up, just like we've done before. And let's get these two hooked into our power grid. And they don't use a whole lot of power right off the bat, so that shouldn't be a huge concern. But there we go. We have power. Now to automate these, hoppers, like I said, is going to be super simple for the early game. We could use Mechanism right off the start, but I want to be able to control what I'm putting in here. So let's grab some barrels, and I'm going to put a couple of barrels together. Let's see, we probably need... I definitely need to get barrels on Autocraft. As you can see, that's definitely a thing. Let's grab more oak. There we go. Barrels, perfect. So I'll put a barrel here for right now, barrel here. We'll have a hopper that hooks to, not the face, but hooks to the sides. There's a side here. And we'll have one that hooks to the top. How about that? One to the side here. And I would do the top on this side, but can't really, because of the machine that's up there. Makes it a little bit more difficult. Let's just go ahead and put this in the front. And you know what? I'll put this in the, well, I can't put, yeah, I can put it in the front. We can put a barrel on top of that too. Yeah, and barrels here. Why not? Why not barrels everywhere and cover the whole machine? Okay, so inside here, let's take a look at the infused, right? It's going to require redstone, and it tells you the amount. The amounts are going to be something that you have to take a look at. It's a little bit hard to see without clicking on here. So if you click, you can see this one redstone gives you exactly 10, and you have to keep those ratios in your head. This will give you 90, which is the same equivalent, and the enriched version, which is honestly the best way to go later on. And this will give you 80. And now I just need to put the redstone in with the iron. And this is where the configuration starts to really take place. Now here soon we can make a configuration. Once we get a couple of these, we can make a configurator. But at first, this may seem a little daunting. Now you can move this around so that way you can see what you're working with. It's best to not leave it here. Pull it down so you can work with it and see your inputs and outputs. By default, we have auto eject off, but we can turn that on. That's kind of what we want. Now our input, which is going to go in this slot, is going to be iron. And I want that to be the face, which is already set up. And if you wanted to clear this out, you can hold shift and clear out everything. And so we'll have this be the input. The yellow is where our redstone is going to go, and that's on the right side. So we need to switch this until it turns into the yellow. And then the extract is going to be on the bottom, and that's going to be output. And so we set up the output, and that's all we really need to worry about. Power is already handled in its own tab. You really shouldn't have to touch that. It's just sending the items. Now, some of the machines are going to have other inputs. You'll have a gas thing and stuff like that. But for right now, this is how it's working. So I should be able to take redstone and iron. And remember, I'm putting iron in this chest and redstone in this chest. And it's already started. As you can see, it's starting to fill that up with redstone and already producing the output, which will end up in this barrel. Now, the same thing has to happen for this, except it's going to be the opposite side. So auto eject on. I'm going to clear all these out so we can see it clear. And then remember, this is yellow on the side. The face, or actually for this one, yeah, the face is the input, and then the output's right here. Super simple. Now to make this, it's going to be osmium. Same process, was osmium instead of iron. And we should have all of those resources. So getting into mechanism, super straightforward. And there we go. So now this is going to be producing, and we're going to get the required materials, I think. Oh yeah, I forgot to put the hoppers down here. That's probably an important part, right? Is making sure we have hoppers. Let's shrink. There we go. And get the hopper in. Perfect. And as you can see, we have our basic controls. Now, a useful tool, before we get too deep in here, a useful tool in Mechanism is this configuration card. You definitely want to make this thing. What it allows you to do is copy the settings of a machine and paste it to another machine. So if you're working with multiple machines and they're all doing the same thing in the same way, you can use the configuration card to copy those settings. And that will save you a lot of time. Another tool we're going to have to get into is, well, the configurator. This is the main part. Let me grab some more resources that are generating. The configurator is going to be one of the main ways that we control a lot of these machines. And is our tool that lets us like shift and brake, but you can see the actual inputs when looking at the machine as well. And you can actually change it too. So I could click on this if I was in the configuration mode, and I would be able to change the side of this with this tool, which is super handy. And it works for pipes. This is how you handle pipes and everything else. And we can give it power. Like, we have to give it some power in order for it to be usable. So there's some power. And you'll be able to see that I can actually change the side. I'm holding down shift, and there we go. I'm changing it from input, and you can control it from the outside. I still recommend the internal configuration though. Now, I know you're probably thinking in your head, man, these machines are really loud and annoying. Well, there is a way you can muffle them, and this with the muffling upgrade. Now, I was hoping that the soundproofing would work, but it actually doesn't. But maybe the modular routers, I think that works towards modular routers itself, muffling it. But yeah, soundproofing doesn't work. I just tested it out. But I think you can open up your sound settings. And if you turn down, I believe, ambient, turn it way down, it does lower it a little bit. Or is it block noise? It's one of these. That definitely, I think it's block sounds. Yeah, block sounds turns it down quite a bit if it's really getting on your nerves. Now, to upgrade these machines, they actually have some upgrades that you can apply to them. This one would be the basic tier installer. You can make them by crafting the factories, is what it's called when it upgrades, or you can craft these installers, which is way easier, holds your settings and all of that. And when you click on it, shift click on it, it'll actually upgrade this now to its factory version. As you can see, 3 slots now, and it can go 3 times as fast because it can process 3 times as many items. And there we go. We have this now split, and it should work even faster, and we haven't even gotten into the speed upgrades yet. So that, my friends, is an introduction to getting started with Mechanism. Honestly, it's pretty straightforward from here. In next episode, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into the ins and outs of Mechanism, and also getting started with some actual wireless power, and which we needed, this mod to actually get that set up. And that's when we're getting into Flux Networks. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Of course, guys, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I mean, I'm sure many of you haven't clicked that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate if you did. And it helps us get to that 600,000 subscriber mark, which we're so very close to getting to. And I can't do it without you guys. It's been amazing. And it is now time to thank the supporter of today's video. And that, my friends, is going to go to... Let's see. Let's pop in here and edit this. That is going to go to... If I can get this in here. There we go. Dinosaurus Rar. I love the name. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord. Becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Of course, as this list increases, this will ever expand. I'm going to be adding and expanding this all the way up to the top, and then it'll just rotate through the list from there. But guys, thank you so much for your amazing support. Be sure to check out the Discord if you're interested in becoming a supporter. You can also check out here on YouTube and maybe join and become a YouTube member today. Be sure to link everything through the Discord though, because that's how you get access to the sub servers and all kinds of fun perks over there. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I hope you learned something today, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching. So you guys want to know how to make a witch scratch? Yeah, you just take the W away.